I'm Brittaney Kiefer. I'm the corporate reporter at PRWeek, and I'm here with Leslie Campisi. She's the U.S. Managing Director of Hotwire PR. Thanks for being here, Leslie.
You bet, very excited.
Me too. So we've noticed at PRWeek there's kind of been a wave of British PR agencies setting up here in the U.S. So how does Hotwire fit into that? Do you see yourself as a British agency, or what are some of the differences in operating here in the U.S.?
Yeah, I think that we really respect Hotwire's heritage as a British company, founded in London 13 years ago. But Hotwire today is really a global company. We have wholly owned offices not just in London, but also in Paris, Munich, Frankfurt, Madrid, Sydney, Melbourne, Auckland, New Zealand, and now for the past year in New York. So in terms of kind of the diverse population of employees that make up Hotwire, you know, it is British in heritage, but it's global in nature today, so it's very exciting.
So do you work across the world with different offices? Do you collaborate with them much, or is it more in a silo working in New York?
Yeah, I think that's one of the things that Hotwire we do really well, is we really want to be the global alternative for companies that want a global reach, or maybe a reach across key markets in Europe and the US, but feel that there isn't a great point of entry into an agency that can give them that. And in part because they may have had bad experiences that kind of, as you alluded to, like offices sometimes fight each other, you know, to grab their money for their P&L. Hotwire is so different. The culture of the company is all about bringing people together. We all get together as a global company once a year at boot camp over the summer. In year one in the US, I flew my whole team out. And part of that was to meet some of the other people that they do work with on some global accounts. So we share quite a few accounts with our sister offices around the world. But I would say we're doing an awesome job also pitching and winning our own business in the US, which is very exciting.
Yeah, so speaking of that, you recently celebrated your 1-year anniversary as a firm here in New York. What are some of the lessons that you learned over the past year, or maybe some advice that you could share with other PR leaders who are kind of new to the market?
Yeah, I think recruiting and retaining talent has to be your #1 priority. I'm so lucky when I joined Hotwire, there were people that I had met with or maybe wanted to hire throughout my career that I convinced to come along for the ride with me. And we've been able to build our whole team in New York almost exclusively on word of mouth recommendations. It's huge because basically I have people on the team saying, wow, you know, I want to work with that person who was awesome again. Let's bring them into Hotwire.
And the talent that you're recruiting, is it people coming from the traditional PR background, or since you're a very tech-focused agency, do you end up recruiting a lot of people who come from more tech startup background?
It's actually a really good mix. I mean, I think it's important. You need some people on your team who understand agency life, particularly tech agency life too. I mean, we have a few people on our team who have come from other pretty well-known tech agencies in New York City. But I would say what's really exciting is we run a grads program for recent graduates, and the people who have come out of that program into the entry-level positions have been really diverse. One of them was working in a sales function at a beauty startup. The other was doing Teach for America, but who had studied communications and wanted to get back into it. We also may be hiring a former journalist too. So in terms of the team, it's a diverse group, but I think to get tech PR right, even if you don't have the client experience, you have to have that kind of hunger to understand how things work and to be able to understand complex concepts, kind of speak that language, but also raise it up to business press. So yeah, that was a long way of saying we have a diverse team.
Yeah, so I've been hearing more about how New York City is becoming more of a hub for tech. Traditionally, it's always been thought of as Silicon Valley, but do you notice that as well? What's the tech scene like here?
Yeah, well, I joked with you before, so I've got my New York tech bona fides. I've been here since the 90s, and before I actually became a PR person, I was working at tech startups here in New York, so I'm very proud of the New York tech scene. I would say you're right, though, to sense that there's been so much entrepreneurship happening. I mean, one way that that's manifested itself to me is all these co-working spaces that are opening up, where tech people are hungry not just to start a business, but to be surrounded by other people who are doing interesting things and kind of learning from each other. So yeah, I love to see that, and I think we're not quite as robust maybe as what's going on the West Coast, but we'll get there, I think.
Cool. Well, finally, what's ahead for Hotwire in 2013? What are you guys looking forward to this year?
Yes, so we've been growing at a really rapid clip in terms of building out our team. We have a great group here in New York in our US headquarters. Our big goal in 2013 is going to be doing the same thing on the West Coast. Okay. So we've got our sights set on San Francisco. But I would say it's just getting through that phase that I think a lot of small to medium-sized agencies go through, where you want to take what's so special about that early core team and to scale it in a way that you don't lose that magic. Because I think right now we have a lot of magic.
Cool. Well, and you have an interesting name too. Do you know where that name came from, Hotwire?
I do know that the original founders of Hotwire, Kristen and Anthony, came up with it, but I don't know the story.
Well, it does give that tech implication. So
yeah.
Well, all right. Well, thanks so much for being here, and we look forward to seeing how you guys grow this year.
Thank you. I look forward to sharing that with you.